We are back with the Kaufman Corner podcast with you, David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, host of Breaking the Norm on Sports Radio 810 WHB. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. As well, we talk Royals, playoff expectations now, critical 9-game homestand that gets started tomorrow as we tape here on Thursday. Coming to you a little late, 11A, because of some scheduling stuff on my part, my fault. My bad that we're running late today, but hopefully you saw the tweets and chimed in. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation if you catch us via the podcast by being a part of the live stream. I already got folks lined up in the chat room. You can be a part of that as well. Playoff expectations now. We'll talk about that. How about Bobby Witt for MVP? David Lesky talked me into this. I put a couple of bucks on it. I'm thinking it might happen. We'll talk about why. Do the Royals have enough bullpen? Should the Royals be trying to lock up a guy like Mike Yastrzemski? How about the September call-ups? Is it going to be Jack Caglione, Salvador Perez for the Hall of Fame, another 20 home run season? We'll talk about that. It's all coming up right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it, get with Dave and he'll have you covered. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. As we get things rolling here, let's take stock of where they sit for the playoffs. The White Sox, boy, pulling one out. Game 2 of this 3-game series, laying the beat down in the final game. But, Les, how about it? Where was your panic meter when they are being one hit through 7 and about ready to drop a second consecutive game to the Chicago White Sox versus where it sits right now?
Man, I was ready to throw in every towel in my house. Every game matters now. And I know we say that for season, but it does right now. Every game, every run, every situation, every runner left on base, every home run, it all matters. And now the White Sox have been pitching pretty decent against the Royals, and they've had a pretty decent offense against the Royals. Nothing to shake a stick at, but at least they've been competitive. But my goodness, one hit through 7 or through 6, whatever it was, and then having to put up a 2 and put up a 3, it was panic mode. So, it was pretty high for me. I was frustrated. I try not to get like ultra negative, like, oh, it's over, it's done, forget about it. I'm not even following these guys anymore, except on Thursday mornings. But it was good to see, and it does give me hope now that I feel like, okay, they do have a legitimate shot, especially with that 3-game set with the Mariners coming up.
Yeah. How about you, David? Were you about ready to call it? Because I was ready. The old roller derby, you can't see this if you listen to the podcast, but ready to go to the hips where you call off the jam. if you're an old school, just an old fart, let's be honest. I was like, oh, I think this is it. I think this is the nail in the coffin. Where were you?
I'll tell you a little story about my home life. So I have a 2-year-old, and she really likes these pouches from Target. They are ridiculous. I don't know. Anyway, way too many of them. And she was just going nuts. She wanted a pouch. I went upstairs to get one, and as I came downstairs, John Schreiber threw a wild pitch to let in the 4th run. Her pouch went across the room. I was so frustrated and so annoyed. And I thought, and I turned to my wife and I said, it doesn't matter if they score 5 more or 0 more. This game, this season, this run is over. And I'm an idiot. Look, everybody knew that before, so this is not news that I'm an idiot.
Right.
But, I mean, that was huge. That was the monstrous. I mean, they had 7 or no, sorry, I said that wrong. They have 0 runs on 3 hits through 16 innings in this series. 0 runs on 3 hits through 16 innings, and they ended up scoring 17 runs on 27 hits. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I'm still betting that they don't. But if they do, and even if and when they don't, I think we will look back on Tuesday night, that 8th and 9th inning, and go, oh, that kept us engaged for the entire season. That is the innings that saved interest at the very least, and maybe the season. Because if I don't know what happens if they lose 4-0 or even 4-2. They don't come back in the 9th. Cool, they scored 2 in the 8th. It was essentially garbage time because of the way they were hitting, but everything turned from that point. So it was a huge difference.
Yeah. It was night and day. What do we think?
And I picked up the pouch, by the way. I picked up the pouch. She ate it. Everything was fine.
Yeah, don't be a complete child.
And the baby stopped crying.
Yeah.
She laughs when I get mad. So
Oh, okay. Okay, so you got that going for you, which is nice.
There's good and bad with that. Let's be clear.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, they are still very much in it, not favored or anything like that. So nobody needs to, read too much into that. But by winning that, had they lost it, you're like, okay, now they've dropped. Well, that would have been 4 out of 5, and it starts to make what they got done. In salvaging the last game against the Tigers, that ends up looking like the fluke and a Tiger team that mailed it in because they just didn't really care. They kept Jack Flaherty out there, which they normally wouldn't do. But by getting that win, now you can be like, okay, now, and then winning the next one, now they've won 3 out of 4. Now you can feel like the vibes are good. You can even be looking back saying we should have gotten one of those first 2 against the Tigers, and they're fighting their way up to where they're +2. Or they're plus in the run differential. They have not been plus in the run differential since being +2 on May 25th.
Wow.
When they were 29-25. They got to even a few days ago, but to be on the plus side, that was the first time. By the way, their high water mark was +17 on May 19th when they were 24-16. Low water mark was -37 on June 30th. And most of us feel like, hey, run differential is a better indicator than wins and losses of what's coming in the future. But I bring this up because the run differential is saying that this isn't just a fluke. The run differential is saying that this is a good team, Les. And, if you get blanked by the White Sox twice, we're not saying that like we are right now.
Nope. David's throwing more things too, if that's the case.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, the whole case of pouches is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as I watch this team, you're talking about the run differential. I see the steady increase. I see the improvement, and I know we're going to talk about Yastrzemski, and we're going to talk about and a little bit later when we get there, I want to talk about the difference, even just visually, between Yastrzemski's at bats and India's at bats, because just body language, it's night and day difference. I mean, we won that game 12-1, and India didn't look like he wanted to be there, in my opinion. But other than that, it's such a difference in how one inning, one click can change everything. And I'm with both of you. They're not favored, but they have a shot. I don't think they'll get in, but I really, really want to be wrong. I just see an offense that we've complained about a lot early in the season, and we should have complained about it because they weren't good. They were one of the worst in the game, and now they're picking it up just a little bit. But in these situations, every tiny little thing that we say matters it's magnified. It's about as bright as this light in my face, which I probably should back up next week because it's really, really bright. Imagine if I had my hat off right now, you guys would be, woo. So it's just, that's the kind of thing that happens when you get in these situations. Now, it's a good thing. Now the Tiger series really, really matters. And of course, the Seattle series matters. And then the Blue Jays matter. And those are not going – that's a tough stretch. It's a really tough stretch. So if they can play through this, I'll end with this. My only concern is it seems like, aside for the White Sox series, teams they should beat, they kind of sometimes mosey 2 out of 3 or they'll throw a sweep. But then you get a team that's pretty good come in that's coming right after that. And then they just don't seem like, oh, okay, well, against good teams, maybe they're just not going to be that good. That's what really shows us what this Royals team is when we start to have hope. And so, but then they go to Toronto and they go to Boston and then actually play pretty well and go 3-3 in that 6-game series. So that's why I think this 9-game stretch right here is going to really tell you what this Royals team is. I don't think they will. I hope they will, but it's been fun to see this offensive change.
Yeah, it is. And having that big outing offensively, David, I mean, makes us think that, okay, that wasn't just a fluke. They still got to figure it out because, like, that White Sox, those two, if they don't rally in that second game of the White Sox, we start to go like, that was just a hot streak. Or, man, let me go back and look at these pitchers. Were they just beating up on crappy pitchers, which they weren't doing earlier? But, you know, and now I think it's important for their psyche to have the confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And somebody mentioned in my comments yesterday, I think it was, Davis Martin threw 6 innings of 1-hit ball in the last game of the White Sox series in Kansas City. So they had 3 games. The White Sox had starters through 20 innings with 3 hits allowed, and the White Sox were 1-2 in those 3 games. So first of all, that builds confidence that you're able to get to a bullpen, that you're able to get past the starting rotation, a good start, and get to somebody else. That too. But yes, to score the runs to get there, it's huge. The confidence is real. I mean, this is not obviously they're big leaguers, and the Royals have a very strong Matt Quatrero's today mantra. They live by that. They actually do. It seems stupid, but it's real. They believe in it. But that said, it's hard to forget the day before. I mean, Michael Massey, I forgot where I heard this, but he gave an interview the other day where he's saying, yeah, 10 months ago, I'm standing on third base clapping. Now I'm hitting 200. He knows what he's doing. It doesn't. I know that that's not today. Today he's not hitting. He's 0 for 0. But so they know all this stuff. One thing I want to touch on real quick. Have you seen what the Rangers have done since they left Kansas City?
Didn't they
the
put
Royals
up
took
20
3
yesterday?
of 4. They won 20-3 yesterday. They've won 5 of 6. Their run differential, you want to talk run differential, is plus 80.
Yeah.
I don't think the Rangers are a especially good team. I think they have outbursts which allow that's where run differential can be a little bit misleading sometimes with certain teams. You have to get there's some context, but the Rangers are not a bad team either. And so add them to that list. Taking 3 or 4 from them was not nothing. And I think that was impressive by the Royals too.
Yeah, I think so as well. And now they've got this Tiger series for 3. They just dropped 2 or 3. Got to turn right around. You're going to see Skubal. They've done well. I love how every time you bring up Skubal, they beat him twice. I know.
They won those games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they beat Skubal.
Yeah, right. But it will give the club confidence, right, Les? I mean,
sure. Oh, sure.
I do think like the fact that they really have got to feel like they should have won one of the first 2 in that series up there. And the fact that they have had success against what is probably the American League's best pitcher. There should not be a wilting that goes on starting tomorrow night as we tape here on and stream live on a Thursday. There should be some confidence that they can go toe-to-toe with the Tigers, particularly the way they finished up.
They're 8.5 back. They're not going to win the division. Let's be clear. They can scare the Tigers a little bit. I mean, if you're the Tigers and you get to if the Royals were to sweep them, which I don't think is going to happen, but if the Royals sweep them and they're 5.5 back, it's still a huge long shot. But it might get the Tigers to start playing a little scared. Actually, I mean, it's an interesting series.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Les, do you like what's the psyche of the Royals club getting ready to take on these Tigers based upon what they just went through?
Well, I think you said it. Excuse me. I think confidence is everything. I mean, what it was last time. You probably should have played a little bit better in one game, maybe. But yeah, they should have taken 2 out of 3. But now you're back at home, and the Royals are playing very well. And so confidence is high. They're not playing like they're going to be bullied right now by any stretch. And so I don't think that the Royals are sitting at home looking at the calendar thinking, Oh man, these three teams coming in, man. I think they're hungry. I think they've got blood on their teeth right now. Like, hey, let's go, let's get after it. And as a former player, I want my future in my hands. I don't want other teams to be having to do this and this. The Royals have to go get this thing. I mean, they can't control what Seattle does, of course, except in those 3 games. But again, when you control your own destiny, man, that fires you up. It's not a late August into September dragging. You're tired. You're not even thinking that way. You're like, hey, let's get after it. It is right there in front of them. So I think that there's a massive amount of confidence that I think they know what they need to do, but they also know the implications of games that they should win if a bullpen blows it or the offense just doesn't show up in 2 out of 3 games or something like that. I don't think that's a dictation on the whole season or what this stretch has been, but they also know that the errors, the mistakes, the home runs that the pitchers might give up or the lack of opportunity with runners in scoring position, those little things, like I said before, are magnified and they have to come through because against teams, you crack the door and they come storming in.
Yeah. Look, there are only 15 home games left. This 9-game homestand and another 6-game homestand. So, like, if you're a Royals fan, you're looking to get out to the ballpark. I mean, baseball has that kind of, I think sometimes its attendance gets hurt by the fact that there's so many games. Oh, I'll get out there eventually. Well, it's time to get out there because these are critical games and there aren't many left out at the ballpark. We'll talk about what we've got in Bobby Witt Jr. as an MVP. David Lesky will make you a case why it's actually a pretty good bet. I bet on it. We'll talk about that after you hear from our friends at David Starnes Allstate Insurance. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. With David Starnes Allstate, it's not just about fender benders. Beyond traditional safeguards, enjoy perks like roadside assistance for unexpected breakdowns, transportation expense coverage when your car is in the shop, auto replacement protection to keep you on the road in style, and much more. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, I've been teasing this. Bobby Witt Jr. for MVP. I mean, everybody knows the numbers aren't as good this year over last year. In fact, I'll give you some notes on this. Last year he was hitting .346 with a .399 on base and a .618 slug through this same number of games. This year, not bad, .298, .354, .501. Home runs, he's got 19 this year. Last year he had 28 at this point. RBIs, 74. Last year he had 95. Runs, this is amazing. 86 runs this year. Last year he had 114 runs already. I mean, just speaking about how big that year was last year. Doubles, he actually has more, 41 doubles to 39. Part of that's because he's got the less home runs, 19 homers to the 28 home runs. He was 27 to 39 from stolen bases. This year he's 34 41, which speaks to the work that he put in on it. WAR last year, on the year he had 9.4. He's earned 5.9 this year, where it's at. But, there's the obvious. Aaron Judge isn't having the incredible season that he's having, David. But also there's a reason why at plus 1750. So a $10 bet wins you 1,000.
No, 17,500.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, plus 17,500. A $10 bet wins you $1,750. That's one of the reasons the return is big. But you looked at it and you think he's one high, we haven't seen him get scorching hot yet. And usually that's July and August or, when that happens. So it would be late if it did happen. But if he would, you say he gets back to being pretty close to those numbers.
Look, I ran the numbers. So I looked at Fangraphs WAR, which he's at 6.6, which is, let me look. I think he's third. Yeah, third best in baseball. Ohtani's actually third best with the pitching, but whatever.
Whatever. We don't count that crap.
No, he doesn't count. It's not. Also, it's National League, so I don't care. Third best in the American League. We'll go with that. So he's got 28 games left. The Royals do at least, and I assume he'll play all of them. I looked at his best 28 game stretch last year, and that was from July 12th to August 16th, which seems long, but All-Star break. Keep that in mind. He hit 441, 496, 829. And that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I was looking at those numbers and it makes you laugh. Anyway, so that's something that he has tangibly done. We talked about this on Monday on the show, right? That if a guy has done it, they can do it. If a guy hasn't done it, you hope they can do it. We know he can do this because he has. If he puts up those numbers over the final 28 games, he'll end the year hitting 323, 379, 559. Which is not quite where he was last year. And it'll end up based on the wins above replacement at 9.8 instead of 10.5. So a little bit lower on the average, a little bit lower on the OBP, a little bit lower on the slug. But think about the what's the word I'm looking for? The story behind it. That's not the word I'm looking for. But think about the story behind this. And if he does that, especially with 3 against Seattle, I think the Royals are making the playoffs, right? I mean, if he puts up that line in 28 games, assuming everybody else doesn't go ice cold, I think they're going to pass Seattle. And all of a sudden, you get this story of the guy who just missed last year, took a team at 40 and 47 in early July, and they're in the playoffs, and he's got nearly 10 wins above replacement, which probably leads all of baseball. Not saying it'll happen. I also put a couple dollars on it. I will not say the number in case my wife is listening, but I put a couple dollars on it.
$5,000. I got to do some math. What would that get you? $5,000.
Boy, well, I wouldn't be on with you guys. Okay, I'd be on a beach with no internet access. I know. You know what? I would find a cafe to come on every Thursday.
And gloat.
But I would never see anybody else in the world. But are you doing the math right now?
87 million.
Woo. I may not find a cafe. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't think they would take that. Maybe they would. I think they would.
They would.
I have to be off. I have to be off a number on that. I'll look it up. But you go ahead.
Even if it's 8.7 million, I'm fine with that. You guys can have a little bit, but yeah, I don't think it's going to. Again, it's like the Royals playoff. I don't think it's going to happen. But at plus 17.5.
Well, I think that's the point. Les is what David said there about he has done this.
Mm-hmm.
He did it for 2 months, and you're talking about him just needing to do it for like 4 weeks, right? So, like, look, we're not turning this into a gambling show. I just want to point out that that is like another gear that's still there for the Royals to get to, right? Is that they could. By the way, it's 87.5 million. The point of this is he hasn't had a month that's as good as he can be. And if he would have that, number one, I think there is real value in that line. I think they've opened themselves up. Cal Raleigh now, pushing past 50 home runs. You kind of need him to get cold. You definitely need the Royals to beat the Mariners for a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a little bit of, in the voters' minds, like Aaron Judge had been there, done that. So Aaron Judge was always in the lead. It was kind of like Bobby Witt, like, okay, yeah, you can come stand on stage now, but we're not giving you the award yet. You gotta be a nominee before you can be an award winner. And I think he's now been a nominee. So now he's ready. I think that there's a little bit of that Cal Raleigh. And I think that the modern baseball voter loves the analytics. And there's plenty of analytics that say he's better than Cal Raleigh. The question is, what's the likelihood, Les, that he can get scorching hot like that?
Yeah, I mean it's really tough. I mean to get to those numbers that you talked about, David, with this many at bats, what kind of streak that he would have to go on to hit 323. I mean, to raise his average up another, I think, what is he, 296 or 7 right now, or
he's
right around
298.
298. Okay, so still to raise his average up 25 more points. I mean, that would be hot, but yet he can do it. And nothing would make me more happy than to see Aaron Judge fall to number 3 at the end of the year in final MVP voting. I don't care if Bobby was second. That would make me so happy to see. The whole world loves him, and then he tanks. It's not I'm hating on the guy, but it's just everybody's in love with the home run. Then there's the short porch in New York and all that. So that's a whole digression. But I don't know that this late in the year, I would bet that he will do it. I think he could, and it would be an amazing story. And I would love to be wrong about that. I feel like the way the voting is, I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't want this to be right, but I'm going to go ahead and say Raleigh does win it. Judge is a close second, and Bobby's a close third, just because of how hard it is. Yeah. But if Bobby does even elevate into the second position in the MVP voting, he may just be the greatest player of all time for me. I mean, it's just tough to do. So possible, yes. Likely, no. Very fun to watch. The last thing I'll say is that I think it's really difficult for a lot of fans out there to understand that this whole thing is not just about Cal Raleigh's a great story, the catcher, the switch hitter, the 50 home runs. That's amazing. Seems like a great guy. Fun to watch. That's amazing. I hope he goes 0 for 15 in the series against us, or 0 for 12, or however many bats he gets. I hope he doesn't hit a ball out of the infield. But there's just that love affair with the home run. And I just hope people realize the value that Bobby Witt Jr. does bring to the team with the doubles, with the slugging, with the glove, with all those intangibles, and not just get caught up in the, switch hitter, home run, 50 home runs. It is incredible. But there's more than just that. And if Seattle doesn't make the playoffs, I think that they really should consider, and if the Royals bounce above them and get there, I really think that Bobby Witt Jr. should be that main contender.
Yeah, you mentioned best player, by the way. How many times do you think George Brett finished in the top 3 in MVP voting?
Ooh, in 20 years. I'll say
at
11.
Least once.
I'll say 11. I'll say it's a high number.
We know
4.
We know he won it once. So there's that. It is. I'm double checking because I want to make sure, because I was kind of surprised. It's 4 times.
Wow.
No.
I
was starting to cheat, but I hadn't cheated yet.
Yeah. His MVP votings when he got onto the map started in 75. He finished 11th and 2nd, 13th, 19th, 3rd in 79. Won it in 80, obviously, with his huge year. 27th, 20th. He's not in there. Then he finishes 2nd in 85, a year that I think he should have won it. And then 2 more times. 88, he finishes 12th. And in 1990, he finishes 7th. So, Bobby Witt Jr. is entering. I mean, we know that. We know last year was a George Brett-like year. We talked about that a lot. But, I mean, now he's backing it up. And if he does finish 3rd, that is part of your greatness. It's not just the wins. It's the seconds and the thirds and being in the top 5 and being in the top 10. Oh, he had a down year. Oh, yeah. He had a down year. Like, if, we look ahead and 8 years from now, he's been in the MVP voting every year, never finished lower than 14th. That's greatness. If he has 4 top 5s, that's George Brett-esque. He may be putting his second, top 3 MVP on the board. We're going somewhere.
In a year, we're disappointed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
By the way, how did Fred Lynn not win the MVP in 79? I know that's another conversation. I'm looking at the numbers right now.
Who did win it?
In 79? No, Don Baylor won it. Oh, you said who did win it? Don Baylor, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's insane.
Well, my rub is 85. Don Mattingly winning it over Brett in 85.
Yeah, that's garbage.
I thought Brett should have been the guy. I mean, in 85, he led the league in slugging, OPS. He won a Gold Glove. That was his Gold Glove year. at third base. That's the one where I think George Brett really got robbed.
It's the hunt. What did Mattingly had? 150 RBIs that year or something?
Yeah.
That was
and
the
it's New York is what it is. That's what it is. And there are other people that'll tell you George should have won it in 76 when he finished second. I don't know. I remember I was watching baseball. I think I probably remember some images from TV. I remember my mom crying at the end of playoff games. Like I do remember that. But I can't say I remember actual actions that happened in the game.
You know who won it that year? Another Yankee, Thurman Munson.
Oh, there you go. That seems to be a recurring theme. Royals finishing right behind Yankees. It's annoying to say the least.
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the bullpen. Estevez, by the way, is quietly better than people think, but even he gets we better have a 2-run lead. That's actually not true. When he has a 1-run lead, his ERA is below 1. Curtis cooked that up yesterday. He's done a very good job in 1-run games for the most part. It's 2-run games really where he has a bugaboo. He's good in 3 and 4 and so on. But, you feel good about Urseg to Estevez. You feel good about Schreiber right now. Is that it? Is here ended the list? Les, on the bullpen? Is that where your confidence is? Does it end there? Or, I don't know, Long had a pretty good 8th inning. Taylor Clark has had some moments. Where do you sit on this bullpen right now, and if it's good enough to get him to the playoff finish line?
I think my greatest confidence is in the people that you mentioned. I think that what was I was listening to the game last night. Was it like 8? What was the number? Like 8 times that Bolin has been transacted this year or something like that. Like that's a lot. But right now he looks pretty good. I haven't been real high on Lynch over a full stretch of a season, but he's actually been pitching pretty deeply. So, and even if we can get a big lead and some of those guys can throw an inning or two just to get you to the guys that we have confidence in, I do think that this bullpen can stretch this thing out. I don't have confidence, no offense, but I don't have confidence in Sam Long. I know he had a great inning. I know sometimes he's got a decent curveball, changeup, whatever, but I've just seen enough of him just get pounded and at the wrong time. That guy makes me nervous. He always makes me nervous. So, but besides that, I have confidence in Zerpa as long as he's not over the middle of the plate. But that's any pitcher, whether you have movement or not, whether you throw 97 or 87, doesn't matter. So I think overall the bullpen has actually been pretty good. Now, again, not statistically, I don't have that in front of me, but from what I've been watching, I'm always watching bullpen guys and pitching guys as a hitter. And how would I do against this guy? Would this guy give me confidence as a hitter? And right now, I think like Sam Long is the only one that really doesn't scare me.
Yeah. David, where do you sit on this? I mean, Sam Long, had that great 8th. I bring up his name, because they scored, didn't get the lead. I think had they gotten the lead, it would have been Urseg. But, I think Quintero went, I didn't get the lead. I'm not going to blow out the back end of the bullpen here in a game we can't win. And he comes out and gets, holds the fort, doesn't give runs right back, and they're able to come back and win that game. I'm with you. I don't have a lot of confidence in him, but that if we look back and they make the playoffs by 1 game, that 8th inning is going to be giant. That was a giant inning pitched by that kid. And, when you see him do that, you're like, oh, can you do that more often? But
yes,
and the answer is no, but I think it does. It illustrates if you're on the roster, you're going to have to pitch. This idea that you can just skip a guy and always go to your favorite guy every night, you can't do. But, is it good enough to get them there the way it's currently constructed?
So the issue I have with the Royals bullpen, it's a good bullpen in general. I mean, the numbers are there. Everything's there. The problem is I don't feel like we ever know who we can trust night to night, because I think that you have a good idea that if you bring out 3 pitchers, 2 of them are going to be good and fine. And you just don't know if it's John Schreiber goes back and forth. Angel Serpa goes back and forth. Daniel Lynch, I don't know how he doesn't give up runs sometimes. It is a Houdini act. I mean, his last, 7 outings, I think, he's given up 2 runs on 8 hits in 8 innings. So, that's good. 1 base runner per inning, 2 strikeouts. The ball is always in play against him. I never feel confident with Daniel Lynch, but he gets the job done. It's bizarre. But I just feel like there are, too many, not too many. I feel like we just don't know who's going to be good on any given day. And that's where my concern comes in. I look at a guy like Sam Long. You mentioned him, 22 outings since he came off the IL, which we thought he'd never see the big leagues again. He's given up earned runs in six of those 22. I think the Texas game was bad. They were all unearned. The inning should have been over in that second inning that Vinny made that error. I think if you look at him as the eighth reliever, which he is, the last reliever in the bullpen, if you get a guy who's going to be scoreless 70% of the time, that's fine. I don't. It's hard to expect 8 guys who you can trust every single day. So yeah, my concern is just I don't know who you can trust day in and day out. And like right now, Carlos Estevez, people, there was a lot of up and down about him. He hasn't given up a base runner in. It will be more than 2 weeks the next time he pitches, because it was 2 weeks from yesterday was the last base runner he allowed. That's crazy. He's pitching the best he's pitched all season long. Lucas Urseg is not.
Yeah.
but he will be again. I think he will be. I just think there's not, and this is true of bullpens in general. I just don't think there's the consistency. So that concerns me, but also the numbers are there. So I go back and forth.
Yeah. I think this, Les, is the Royals bullpen is still a victim of being judged by HDH. And in particular, the D, Wade Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was an idea that this is normal. No one ever gets on base and you strike almost everybody out every time. And that was not normal. And even Wade Davis couldn't keep it up. I mean, what he was doing took such a toll on his arm. He really, what do you have? 1 year, 2 years, maybe in Colorado, where he was
too good. I think he had one really good year and one good year.
Yeah. And so, that's just not normal. I mean, Carlos Estevez is a good closer, not average. He's good, right?
He did not have one really good year.
He didn't.
No, the good year was in Chicago.
Chicago Cubs. That's right. I'm sorry.
His ERAs with the Rockies: 4.13, 8.65, 20.77. So,
yeah. Well, in Chicago or in Colorado, maybe that first one's good.
Yeah,
that's right. True. That might be a good year.
but I mean, like Estevez, I don't think you want to grab a bat and go up against him and say, "Oh, I'm just going to rock this guy," right? No one's excited to see Carlos Estevez in there, are they?
I'm not. I mean, I wouldn't turn it down.
As a hitter,
yeah,
I'm not saying. Yeah. Be clear what I'm saying. I don't think like that. My first choice on who I want to face is that mountain.
Absolutely. He has pitched well enough that it's not like you're fearful. It's like you're frustrated. It's almost the equivalent of that one Jamie Moyer lefty that doesn't break a pane of glass, but continues to get you out or helps you get yourself out, or you just roll over, stuff like that. But in the power sense of it, I don't necessarily think he's going to blow you away every time, but he's going to get you to pop up. He's going to get you to roll over, or if he gets inside your head, then he's going to blow a high fastball by you with a little bit of movement, a little bit of bend into it. So I don't think that Estevez has earned fear, but I think he's earned massive respect. I didn't respect him early in the season when we got him. I felt like, oh man, this is going to blow up. It's not your typical, and I wasn't putting him up against a Wade Davis type. I was just putting up against maybe guys were getting a little bit too much wood on him, and that makes me nervous a little bit. Hard hit balls, that makes me nervous a little bit. But he has earned my respect. He's done a good job. I've grown up and put my big boy pants on, and not when he does blow something, I'm not just blowing the whole thing up. I mean, days happen. Everybody has an off day. So, I again, respect, not fear. But sometimes that's all you need. And he's getting into the point where he's been so good that if they do make the playoffs and they go deep into a playoff run, he's going to be the guy that's going to have to keep being good and then better and better. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's all there in front of them.
Yeah.
They just got to handle
it. I think they need to find one more power arm. And I don't know that Serpa's that, because he's inconsistent with command. I think I would feel more comfortable if Jonathan Bolin could take hold, if they bring up Luinder Avila. And that's not to say Bolin's not a power arm, but he's mid-90s, which I guess is did you see that's league average now for right-handed pitchers? 95 miles per hour. It finally hit league average. Anyway, I don't know who that is. I'm looking at the roster and trying to think, okay, is Is that Bolin? Is that Avila coming back up? I haven't heard anything on Steven Cruz. I assume he's done. But like you can't. John Schreiber's not that guy. He's been really good, but he's not that guy. Taylor Clark's not that guy. He's been really good. I would like to see another guy who can touch 97 consistently and not leave it in the middle with like Zerpa. Like Zerpa can be that guy when he's pitching well. That's what I feel like they're missing, and maybe that's where my disconnect is. That I think, okay, this is not quite there, but I think they're good enough.
Yeah. Now they just got to go out and get it done. I mean, they're going to get the opportunity. Let's see if they get it done. We're going to talk about how good Yastrzemski's been and whether or not it's time to try to extend him before you get to the end of the season. After you hear from our friends at Frontier Justice.
This episode of Kaufman Corner is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee's Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. If you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. David Starnes Allstate Insurance. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff, as well as your motorcycle, boat, ATV, and you name it. Get with Dave, and he'll get you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. All right, I think there's no doubt that we have seen this offense really take off. And one of the things is the elongation of the lineup, and Yastrzemski's been a huge part of it. How about it, Les? I mean, he's going to be 35. Quiet as is kept, he's just getting to free agency. He was very late to get to the big leagues. The Giants let him go. The Giants fans were thrilled that he was gone. I'm not sure. I mean, I think part of it might have been overuse, that, the Royals are doing a pretty good job of using him the right way. Do you 35-year-old platoon outfielder? Spotrac put him at $10 million. He's making, I think his contract was for 9.5 off arbitration this year. It is because he's not young. This is kind of a difficult one to look at, but he's been such a big part of their offensive turnaround. What do they do with him, Les?
When I found out that he was 35, I was shocked. He's just one of those guys that falls under the radar a little bit because I wasn't paying attention to how many big league years he had or how old he was when he came to the big leagues. I just look at the guy. He still looks athletic. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. He's a good defender. He's a good leadoff hitter. I even watch the way he fouls off changeups. Guy out there, somebody will throw a 96, 97-hour fastball for a ball, but he still has 2 strikes, and then it's a nasty changeup in the outside corner, and he gets his foot down, but he doesn't commit open. So even at 35, he still knows how to hit. He's obviously got good power. He understands the game well. He's a seasoned veteran, and I completely agree with you in the fact that just because he hit somewhere in a big market like San Francisco that wasn't very good, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't hit somewhere else. They probably did misuse him a little bit. They played him and put him in situations that were off his ability and more based on the name on his back than it was and their expectations than what he could do. So hats off to the Royals to seeing that and getting him over here and using him in a way that he could, that he's strong about. So also I'll say that, as a leadoff hitter, we talk about the platoon. I think I'd pay him the $10 million for a platoon because of what he's done, because if the platoon situation doesn't work and the other guy gets hurt or the other guy doesn't perform, you could play him every day and he would still probably put up just as good of numbers. I would like to have seen him, what he would have played out numbers wise the whole season in Kansas City. I bet he wouldn't be hitting under 240. I'd give him 270, 275, probably end up with 25 home runs and play solid defense. So I would definitely sign him. I would definitely give him that kind of money because he has been an incredible fit. And with the only probably 2 or 3 good years he has left based on his age, get the most out of him now. And I wouldn't shake a stick at or worry about signing him to that money.
Yeah. How about you, David? What do you do with Yastrzemski?
I mean, on the surface, yeah, it's a real easy decision. You give him money, say, move on. Let's stay. Let's get this done. And you look at the underlying numbers, and I always look at that. And his expected batting average, 299 with the Royals, with expected slugging percentage, 601. This is not flukish. In fact, he's probably underperforming. He's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting the ball hard often. He's barreling it. His bat speed is still good. I mean, everything is good defensively too. We haven't talked about that, but defensively, he has been a revelation in right field. He was good with the Giants. I mean, by defensive run saved, he was +5. With the Royals in, I don't know, what is that, a sixth of the innings? He's +4. He's +2 outs above average. He was actually -3 in San Francisco. Look, right field in San Francisco is weird. So there's some grains of salt when you go there because the way that wall works. But I mean, overall, everything trends toward, okay, this is real. I do think, they're using him correctly. Last night, he hit a home run against a lefty. Before that, he was 0 for 8 against lefties with the Royals. The fact that he was 0 for 8 says they are not exposing him to left-handed pitching, which they shouldn't because he's terrible against lefties. And so I think that, for $10 million, if that's what it costs, I think it makes a lot of sense. You have to start layering in the other questions, though. Are they too left-handed? And if he's a platoon bat, who cares? Because you're going to find a right-handed partner for him. So
But real quick, if they are too left-handed, they were too left-handed before he got to Kansas City. And the problem wasn't him. The problem was the other left-handers. I mean, it's one thing to be left-handed. It's another thing to be left-handed and hit. Right?
Totally fair.
Wasn't hitting. John Rave wasn't hitting until the All-Star break. I mean, Jack Caglione really didn't hit. I know we had a couple of nice home runs, but for the most part, Jack Caglione was a bad hitter for this team. We think that's going to change and he's going to become a star, but they may be too left-handed, but the left-handed guys weren't good enough.
No, you're totally right. That's totally fair. But again, also, I don't know that it matters because, again, if you're going to handcuff him with a righty, who cares? And also, look, how many lefty starters have the Royals faced this year? I don't think that's a fluke. It's funny, the lefty starters this year, some of the best starters in baseball, most of the best starters in baseball are left-handed. There's just not that many of them. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know if it's a weird year. There's going to be more next year, but maybe you don't care that you've got a bunch of lefties. So that side of it. The other side is, okay, how does it fit in the roster? You've got Vinny at first, theoretically Jack Caglione in an outfield spot, and or DH, and or first. You've got Salvi probably coming back, first base, catcher, DH. So the question is the fit, and I don't think it's a problem. I just think it's something that you have to kind of sit down and, I don't know, put together a wedding seating chart and then move things around and make sure it actually fits right. But at the same time, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If the 2025 Royals, up until the trade deadline, had 2024 Hunter Renfroe and 2024 MJ Melendez, who were below average but not horrendous hitters, I think they would have 5 more wins. And they were so bad in the corners that they cannot afford to go into next season and say, okay, look, we think Jack Caglione is going to hit, and we think that we're going to find something with Nick Lofton and John Ray. I don't think they can afford to do that. No. And so I think they have to keep Mike Yastrzemski. And look, it may turn out that in July you go, all right, this guy's got to be a 4th outfielder. There was a flash in the pan that the numbers just aren't there. He's aged, because at some point age gets all of us. And but I think on a 1-year deal, even on a 2 and 14 or something, you don't worry so much about that. And I think that he actually could play well as a 4th outfielder if need be. So I think you do it. I just think that there are some questions to ask.
Yeah, for sure. One of the questions to ask is who to call up on September 1. You can bring up a hitter and a pitcher, or you can bring up 2 hitters. But you can only bring up 1 pitcher. Everyone's got Jack Caglione as that guy, Les. I mean, we're kind of talking about this right here. Is it that easy? Is it Carter Jensen? I mean, what we know they're going to bring an arm and probably bounce that back and forth, but the intrigue is what bat are they going to bring? What bat are you bringing? Is it let's bring up Caglione and his best chance to get a hold of one, and so I've got a feared power bat coming off the bench, or do you need somebody who's going to work a count better?
Yeah, this is a tough decision because if we knew they were going to make the playoffs, or if we knew they were absolutely, if they were 15 games out of the wild card right now, I would say, bring Jack up, let him hit some more. Carter Jensen can fill in next time. That's completely fine. But I think you said it earlier. As much as I love Jack Caglione, I think he is going to be a star in the big leagues. But he just did not hit well, and he didn't adjust very well. It's you can't get caught up in the fact that he hit the monster home run and hit this home run and had a 4-hit game. Those are wonderful things. And he was in the College World Series a little over a year ago. So we know it's still early. There's so much time. There's no need to rush him. So look, if they decide not to call him up and call up Carter Jensen, I'm completely fine with that. Give Carter Jensen a shot at some big league time. But again, not at the sacrifice of if you're a game and a half out of the wild card right there as well. So I really, if you had to put the GM hat on me, gosh, maybe just because of that and because he's had a little experience, I'd give a 51% nod to Jack over a 49% to Carter Jensen. But I'm not sure they're going to do that based on the situation that they're in right now because they're so close to it. And you can't put Jack in a position where, okay, it's a 5-4 game against Seattle and there's 2 guys on base. You're hitting 170. You struck out 2 times this game, and now you're the guy that they're not going to intentionally walk, and there's 2 outs to bring a lefty in, and you're supposed to come through. It just doesn't work that way. So, neither one of those give me a lot of hope as far as competing and giving us a good bat right now. But if you had to pick one, it would be a Jack for me, but just barely.
Yeah. Listen, what's best for Jack Caglione, David? Because I don't think they did what was best for him earlier. I think their offense sucked. They said all along, ideally, you'd like to bring him into a lineup that's hitting on all cylinders. That's kind of what they got now, right? It certainly looks a lot more attractive for him to have success and not have to come up and save it. But they did what was best for the ball club. He was their best option to try to jumpstart their offense. I think they would freely admit it was not the best move for his career right now. I don't think they would never bring him up. They thought they were going to crush him. Like, oh my God, mentally, you just can't take it. But they made a move for what was best for the ball club. What's best for the ball club? What's best for Jack Caglione now? Because those may not be the same thing, be in sync because they weren't in sync earlier.
Yeah. I mean, if you bring Jack Caglione up on September 2nd, because they don't play on Labor Day, which is stupid. Sorry, I'm angry about that. He's not playing every day. You can't. It's as weird as this is to say. This is a sentence I never thought I would say. I don't think you can sit Adam Frazier for Jack Caglione. What? That sentence should not exist in the English language. Right. But here we are. I don't know. I think that you have to ask the question: is it better for him to play every single day in AAA? And keep in mind, you've got to option him if that's the case, because his rehab assignment ends on, I think, September 1st is the last of the 20 days. So you've got to make that option. Is it better for him to play every day in Omaha or to be a part of a pennant race and sit on the bench and get, how many games would be left? There's 3, so 25 games. If you get 45 at bats in 25 games, is that best for his development to be a part of a legitimate race to the playoffs? I don't know the answer. I think you can make an argument either way. I really do. The question then, to your point, what's best for the team? Is it to have a guy on the bench who can pop you a home run at any time? Because he can. There is no doubt that at any time, Jack Caglione can come off the bench and hit a ball 450 feet. And, maybe would they have loved to have Jack Caglione do that on Tuesday night when Michael Massey was up with 2 on? He could have put them in the lead. And Michael Massey hit a ball to right field. He got 2 RBIs. Caglione could have gotten 3. Would he? I don't know. I obviously don't have a crystal ball. But I don't know the answer to that. And so my gut at this point, I've changed over the last couple of days. I don't think he comes back up, and I don't think it's Carter Jensen either. I'm kind of wondering what is it? Dairon Blanco? Do they bring him back? I don't think so. I think they've had many opportunities to bring him back. I don't think it's Drew Waters. I don't think it's MJ Melendez. I think you have to look off the 40-man because
it better not be MJ Melendez.
Yeah.
No, I don't think.
Please no.
I don't think it will
Yes.
be. I don't think it will be. So, but he's on the 40-man. So I think that who makes sense in Omaha? We might be talking about Harold Castro in the big leagues. I mean, he's had a really good month in AAA. He's versatile. He does what they want. He's a switch hitter. He's not especially good defensively. I could see him being the bat they bring up. I think they brought in Bobby Dahlbeck 3 weeks ago, and I kind of wonder if they brought him in thinking, let's see what he's got. He's hitting 204 though in AAA. Ton of home runs, ton of strikeouts. Okay, so that's probably out. I think we could see Harold Castro in the big leagues. It's we could play this game forever and just name names, and eventually we'd be right on one, but I'm kind of thinking it's not Jack Caglione right now.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that it is Jack Caglione. I'll tell you that. And I think if it is Jack Caglione, it's in a pinch hitter's role. It's not as in we're giving him at bats. I'll answer my own question. That's what I think is best for the team. Is if it's I'm okay if it's Jack, because I don't think you want to mess with what ain't broke. Right? They're hitting now. Don't jerk around with it. Caglione can come up, and I think there can be a role. He can put some fear, just knowing that there is this beast power on the bench. And you also know a high strikeout probability as well. So some other managers might be like, yeah, bring him on. Let's go. Because we'll get no one's moving around the bases with this guy. We'll fan our pitcher a little bit, get a breeze up there as he swings and misses at pitches, 10 inches above the strike zone. But they also might get a hold of one and end your night. So that's the role that I see for Caglione if you go get him. I think if you go get Carter Jensen, you're saying, let's get some rest for Salvi, which is what I hope is coming next year in that equation. Speaking of Salvi, let's finish with this. For the Hall of Fame, is Salvador Perez in the Hall of Fame right now? I bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, he's barreling towards a couple of career milestones. He is headed towards he is right now at 296 homers, good chance to get to 300 before this year is over. And he's at 993 RBIs, good chance to get to 1,000. By the way, I think he's 18 RBIs behind Hal McRae for second. I think
19.
Okay, yeah. Hal's the only other guy, along with George, over 1,000 RBIs with the Royals. Those are impressive numbers. And I'll point out, just like from a standpoint of Hall of Fame catchers, the only catchers that have more home runs than Salvador Perez that are in the Hall of Fame, and I used 51% catching numbers, right? So they're definitely a catcher. Right? Mike Piazza, Johnny Bench, Carlton Fisk, Yogi Berra, Gary Carter, Ivan Rodriguez. That's it. There are then 12 catchers who have less, that are in the Hall of Fame, that have less home runs than Salvador Perez. RBI total. Once he gets to 1,000, there will be 10 of the 18 Hall of Famers that had more than 1,000. And he's closing in on Roy Campanella, whose career was tragically cut short. But Roy Campanella at 1,019. He's not that far away from getting past Campanella for 10th amongst catchers, if he is a Hall of Famer, amongst catchers with home runs. And then there's this one that I looked up. Salvador Perez had his 9th 20-plus homer season. So it's not just that, a couple of big numbers here or there. It's been the consistency and the longevity of Salvador Perez is a problem to face at the dish, as well as 6 Gold Gloves. I know he didn't frame well, but they didn't really ask guys to frame early on. Then they started asking him to. He struggled with it. Then he got a good coaching staff. And guess what? He now frames much better. But the 6 Gold Gloves are no joke. Pitchers like throwing to him. But do you know how many catchers have had more than 9, forget about Hall of Fame or not, more than 9 20 home run seasons?
1?
I'd say 2.
4.
Oh.
Johnny Bench had 11. Mike Piazza had 11. Yogi Berra had 10. And Brian McCann had 10.
McCann's surprising. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a little bit of the modern, you can strike out, just hit the ball over the wall thinking that enters in there. He's tied with Gary Carter, by the way, another Hall of Famer. 4 of the 5 guys that he's tied with or behind are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I think we're really close, aren't we, Les? On
yeah.
I honestly think, don't know that we're there, but we're close.
I feel like he's there. I understand it's all the numbers and voting, and I just feel like if it comes down to it, when he's eligible for his first time in the Hall of Fame, people are going to automatically start thinking, before we even look at the numbers, this is one of the most incredible human beings in the game that we've ever known, that we've ever met, and how he gives and cares about people, and how he always smiles, and his longevity. And I think I was hearing in the broadcast last night, his percentage this year's defensive percentage is 1,000 this year. I mean, is that right? If that's right, that's ridiculous to have that, and it's almost September. So yeah, I think that the numbers are there, like you had mentioned. I won't prolong this thought. All I'm saying is that you add the intangible too of just how great of a human this guy is, and to be able to do what he did playing this heavy, just body wise, it's been absolutely incredible. I think, in my opinion, he's there. If I have to step into the writer's role, okay, he's almost there, but he's guaranteed going to be there. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, where do you sit on where he's at right now?
I think that he is 100% going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not 100% sure he will be voted in.
Okay. So, but you think now he's 100%?
I think he will get into the Hall of Fame.
Not like, if he has 2 more years like this, then he's going to get it. You think right now, if his career ended, at some point he will be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think he will be voted in if his career ended today, but I think he would get in on the Veterans Committee because he's a great guy. He's got the intangibles, the World Series MVP. I hadn't thought. I've been asked this question a lot. I've done mailbags, and people always ask, and I always say, I don't think he's there. I don't think he's there. I don't think he's there. I think as long as they don't change the way the Veterans Committee elects players, I think he will get in up through them. Now, I think he can get voted in. There are a few things at play. One, I think he gets to 350, and I think that makes his case. Home runs, and he's 54 away. He averages 23 to 27 home runs a year outside of his 48 home run season. So what, the rest of this year and 2 more years, I think he gets a 2-year deal with the Royals. I think he gets there. So I think if he gets there, I think that brings his chances way up. I think 1,200 RBIs brings his chances way up. I also think, let's say he plays 4 more years. That means he doesn't start to get on the ballot until 2034.
Wow.
By then, 2 things. One, framing will be useless. Not useless, but it will be a lot less useful. And I wonder if voters will look at it that way and say, I don't care that he didn't frame, because we're not asking catchers to frame anymore because the computer is calling the balls and strikes. And so I think that will change the way that it's viewed. So I think the electorate is actually really important here in determining if he does get voted in. And I think the way that these people look at voting will make a difference. But he gets to 350. That's 1 of 5 catchers. I mean, that's impressive. He gets to 1,200 RBIs. That's 1 of, what is it, 8? Soren, do you have that in front of you? I think it's 8 catchers with 1,200 plus.
Well, I don't know. I've got a list here of the Hall of Fame catchers, which I don't suppose there's too many catchers that have 1,200 RBIs that aren't in the Hall of Fame, but 1,200, there's only 8. It's Era, Ted Simmons, Bench, Piazza, Ivan Rodriguez, Carlton Fisk, Gary Carter, and Bill Dickey.
I wonder if Lance Parrish did it, because he's up there on home runs too.
No,
he didn't. 1070. So I think if you get to 350 and 1,200, it's going to be really tough. And one more thing that could really help, a deep playoff run. Yeah. If he gets one more deep playoff run, I think it's going to be hard to not vote him in. I don't think today he'd get voted in. If he retired today and then goes on the ballot in 5 years, I don't think it happens. But 2-3 more years, get to 350, get to 1,200. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you hit upon what the key numbers are. I do think it's 350 and 1,200. And I think at that point he gets voted in probably his 3rd year.
Yeah.
So if they would get into the playoffs in one of the next 2 or 3 years and then push on into the World Series and he does some damage, then I think he could, I think there's a chance that it ramps way up. If there's a strong finish and here in his 30s, he's still playing at a high level. I think Carlton Fisk obviously played for forever, but he also had a couple of good years with the White Sox late that just kind of like, okay, that's it. That's a Hall of Famer. That's what it looks like. He's done it. And, I think it was really important that he got going this year. Early on, it looked like it might be over. And I do worry. That's kind of how it happens. It takes longer and longer and longer to get going. And then all of a sudden, you can't get going before the season's over, right? I will say I would love to see Salvi drop a couple of pounds. I'm just going to say, just for his. I mean, listen, I love food. I mean, look,
Hold on. Maybe we should offer to work out with him. We could get in better shape.
yes,
He could get in better shape. Everybody wins.
I would love to see it just because I think, less weight would give him more of an opportunity to play behind the dish longer and really add to his Hall of Fame stature. That's
I will
it.
take all three of you through a workout. I can help you. I can help Salvi. I'll get him there.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's get together.
I believe you can.
I do think real quick, if Carter Jensen's a big part of Salvi's Hall of Fame candidacy, I think, because if you can get, my personal opinion, they're going to give Salvi a 225-ish deal. And now they might pick up his option. They'll tear it, whatever. If you can get Salvi to catch 140 games in the next 2 years and Carter Jensen catches most of the rest, I think the numbers go way up. It doesn't affect his catcher status. I think that will be huge too.
Yeah, I do agree. Lessening the workload. If Carter Jensen's good and they can feel comfortable and lessen the workload, and Carter Jensen needs to be good to where Salvi goes, you know what, he should catch. Because I think he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Where he'd be like, look, if and by good, I don't mean he comes up and he's okay. I mean, Carter Jensen comes up and he looks like, 340 on base and he's catching a great game and the pitchers love him. And Salvi, really takes to, okay, this is the next guy. I'm going to nurture him. I'm going to bring him along and he's my protege. And here we go. I agree. And you can still get Salvi at bats elsewhere. I'm not enamored with that because you've got Vinny and Jack Caglione as well. But Jack is playing in the outfield right now. I think there is a method, but I'm with you, David. I think,
there's a way for Jack
the workload on him.
Oh, for sure. There's a way for Caglione to play like 35 to 50 games in the outfield, 50 games at DH, 50 at first base, and get everybody 140 games. I think there's a way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors like David Starnes Allstate Insurance. David does a great job with your insurance. Call 816-781-7331 for all the things. Yes, your car, your home, boat, RV, you name it. He insures it, does a fantastic job. There's a reason why they're growing and growing and growing as an insurance agency. Call them today at 816-781-7331. Our friends at Northland Injury Law. If you've been hurt in an accident, any kind of accident, work accidents, falls, car accident, text HURT to 22222 or call Northland Injury Law, 816-400-HURT, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers. It's Northland Injury Law. Frontier Justice, of course, faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit them online at frontier-justice.com and by our friends at Greenlight Dispensary with 15 locations in Missouri. And more on the way. Greenlight is your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Proud sponsor of the Kaufman Corner podcast. Tell them you saw them right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast, and our newest sponsor, Italian Delight, the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. Strombolis, calzones, sausage rolls, hot and cold subs, their famous lasagna, classic chicken Alfredo. They've got daily lunch specials starting at under $10, and they're just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway. Find them online at ItalianDelightKS.com. For David Lesky from Inside the Crown, for Les Norman from Breaking the Norm, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.